Dusk fell over the dark city, plunging its narrow streets and shadowy alleys into insidious shadows. That night, a cold wind whispered through the corners, as if the darkness itself was conspiring against the peace of the living. Alucard, the vampire hunter, walked silently through the alleys, each step calculated like a deadly dance. His name was an echo of fear in the hearts of the nocturnal beings. Born from a lineage of hunters who traced their origins to the darkest of times, Alucard was the last hope against the tide of creatures that fed on the lives of mortals. His eyes, cold and incisive, scanned the surroundings for the slightest sign of danger. He heard a whisper in the shadows. A woman shaking with fear hid behind a barrel, her eyes wide with terror. Alucard recognized the haunted look of someone who had been bitten by the scourge of night. "Please help me," the woman begged, her voice a threat of desperation. Alucard nodded seriously, his cape fluttering around him as he moved towards the woman. "Where is the creature that did this?" asked Alucard, his deep voice echoing through the empty streets. The woman pointed shakily to a deserted street where an ominous fog was gathering. Alucard walked deeper into the fog, each step resounding like a drum in the night. He could smell evil in the air, a mixture of mold and blood indicating that a dark creature was nearby. As he turned the corner, Alucard came across a dark figure, retreating into the shadows. His eyes glowed like embers, and a predatory smile curved his pale lips. He was a vampire, an incarnation of the insatiable thirst for blood. The battle began, a dance of death between hunter and creature. Alucard brandished his sword, a sharp blade that sparkled in the moonlight. The vampire attacked with supernatural speed, dodging Alucard's blows with inhuman grace. The battle raged until the vampire, weakened by Alucard's merciless fury, tried to escape, but was quickly surrounded. With one fluid movement, Alucard drove the wooden stake into the creature's heart. The vampire writhed in agony before crumbling into ash, dissolving like the mist that enveloped him. The terrified woman watched the scene, seeing her attacker meet the end he deserved. Alucard approached her, offering comfort with a knowing look. "You're safe now," he said, his voice softened by the compassion he rarely revealed. With a nod of thanks, the woman disappeared into the darkness of the night. Alucard watched her disappear, knowing that his mission was far from over. The city was infested with creatures of the night, and he was the only barrier between humanity and the abyss. Days became nights, and nights became battlefields. Alucard faced ancient vampires, each one more powerful than the last. His journeys took him to ancient ruins and forgotten dungeons, where the darkness was thickest and the presence of evil most palpable. On a particularly dark night, Alucard found himself facing a vampire conspiracy that threatened to plunge the world into eternal darkness. Led by an ancient vampire, these nocturnal beings were plotting to resurrect an ancient evil that had been sealed away for centuries. The final battle was about to begin. The confrontation took place in an underground crypt, where the air was permeated with dark magic. The ancient vampire, dressed in black robes that seemed to absorb light, was surrounded by his loyal followers. Alucard, determined and fearless, faced the horde of vampires with the courage that only a true hunter possessed. The fight was intense, each blow and magic thrown contributing to the escalation of tension. Alucard, however, did not weaken. His blood boiled with the heritage of his ancestors, and his will was unbreakable. Finally, in an explosion of light and darkness, Alucard thrust the wooden stake through the elder vampire's heart. The evil that threatened to submerge the world in shadow dissipated, and the crypt shook with the echo of the hunter's triumph. With the threat defeated, Alucard emerged from the darkness triumphant. However, his gaze remained dark, for he knew that his journey would never have a true end. The night would always bring new terrors, new challenges, and Alucard, the vampire hunter, would be there, always vigilant in the shadows where darkness hides.